Hey, Faith Works families. As you can see, I have a bit of a self promotion here with my sticker. Yes. It's Shanae, your marriage and family therapist, and I'm coming on to talk about something very interesting. It may be controversial to some, but I want to kind of give you four things that I teach my sons as far as what they need to have before they have any children. So, when we were growing up, our moms and our dads were like, don't bring no babies in this house. Like, but they never really told us why and what we should have before we could have babies in their house. Okay. So, one of the first things I teach my sons is that number one, you need to have a career. First of all, I break it down to them. I explain to them the difference between a job and a career. Okay. A job is, something that you do in transition. You do for some extra money. A career is something that you take time with, you invest in, you work for, you study for. So the first thing I tell them to do before you bring babies in this house, you need to have a career. You need to have a goal and something that you work extremely hard for. And if you don't have that yet, then you are not ready for bringing another life into this world. Okay. The second thing I teach them is, so number one is career. Number two is a house. So they need to have an investment of their house, not an apartment, not something that where they have a roommate situation. They need to have a house. So first you have an established career. That means you are studying. That means you are investing time in, you are building, you're going up the socioeconomic ladder, the professional ladder. And then you have a house. So you are making an investment. You put a down payment on something that belongs to you. Okay. And that's important. I'm trying to teach my sons that you want a place to bring your children or your child after you have it. Okay. So you need a career and you need a house. The third thing I tell them that they need to have is a car. You need to be able to have a mode of transportation to get your child to and from. You don't want your baby's mom, the mother of your children, on the bus or, standing in the rain. You want to have a consistent mode of transportation where you can pick your child up, take your child to the doctor's appointment that they have, grocery shopping, diapers. You want to make sure that you have a car to be able to get them to and from that belongs to you, that's in your name, not my name. All right, so the fourth thing I say that I require them to have is a wife. Okay, so mommy wants you to be married. Okay, so I want you to have a commitment with your wife, the person that you have chosen to be with for the rest of your life. Okay, and I tell them, like, if you, now mind you, they are 9 and 6. But I've started talking to them about this from a very young age. And I'm like, listen, actually, we're raising husbands and fathers. And so they're actually excited to have their own family and to be, someone's husband. And be committed in a relationship. So we're teaching them that now, but they're not too young to start saying, if we're teaching them, listen, don't bring a child into this house. They're old enough to explain to them what they should have in order to bring a child into this house. So I want them to have a wife. I want them to have someone that they are committed to, that they made a vow before God that they would spend the rest of their life with this person. And at least they can bet on more times than not that all their children would belong to them. This is the person that also committed herself and her life to you. So you want a wife. You want someone that you have found, that God has sent you, that someone who is going to be a standard purpose in your life, someone who is going to be a staple for you and your children. And those four things are, imperative and extremely important. So I teach them, you need to have a career, you need to have a house, you need to have a car, and you need to have a wife. Okay. And so here's why I break it down like that. Number one, a lot of our, I don't want to speak for all Black families, but I can only speak from my personal opinion. They didn't really explain to us why we shouldn't do something and what we should do instead. So I wanted to change that for my generation that I raised up. As a mother and as a marriage and family therapist, and encouraging other Black families to be more successful and more stable. My purpose in life is to mend broken families, but also to spread information on how we can strengthen them, how we can educate them, how we can raise the next generation up to be stronger than the one before it. So, I ultimately believe that there is no higher commitment than having a child. Even marriage. I mean, you can commit to someone, but at the end of the day, you have a choice to divorce them or not. You want a lifelong marriage, but what more permanent commitment to have other than a child? That is permanent. You can't sign off. Even if you do sign off your rights, biologically in DNA, you can't erase that. So I want my sons to, and my daughter, I will probably do a separate video for my daughter, but I probably would just say the reverse. You want a husband who has a career, a house, a car, and who makes you his wife before you bring children into this world. And obviously, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and I'm not saying that, this is the way that I done it, but you want your children to do better than you. So we want to teach them, listen, these are the mistakes that I made along the way. This is how I would have done things differently. And I want better for you. I want you to be established. I want you to have someone that is a life partner, that you consider at least a life partner, instead of being connected to someone that you don't really see a future with. You don't want to make a permanent decision in a temporary situation. And I think we don't often explain that to our children from a young age. Now, at the end of the day, if they fall in love with somebody and, they don't think about what I'm saying, that's their decision. I can't be in the bedroom with them. I mean, ultimately, I want them to be abstinent until they get married, but we all know how that kind of doesn't work out. So in the event that they do, I'm like, there is no more permanent of a commitment than having a child. So what better way to practice what it means to be committed to something than having a career? Put in the work, the longevity it takes to build on that. To have a house, a commitment, a 30-year commitment that you are signing up for, to have a car, a 2, 3, 4-year commitment that you are deciding to sign up for, and a wife, a lifetime commitment. So what better way to say these are the things you need to commit yourself to before you consider yourself ready for the lifetime commitment of fatherhood, of parenthood. So let me know what you think. I tried to keep this video in 10 minutes or less. I am Shanae, a marriage and family therapist, really trying to mend broken families and educate other Black families, all races, families of all races. My name again is Shanae, and my private practice is Faith Works Therapy. I have a website, www.faithworkstherapy.com, and I also have a Facebook page. You can find it at Faith Works Therapy. All right. Remember, guys, faith works, and signing out.